guiding light is all I know. Through wood and steel, through fire and lace, I'm blessed to walk within your grace. Is to a throig arcane. You laid the path before me. You guided every step. Raise the hammer, string the bow. Her gift is all I need to know. Through toil and trial, through heart and hand, her grace builds up this mighty land. Is the grass the dead time it sore? We'll build the land, our hearts within. From dawn till dusk, I work, I strive. With your blessing, I'll survive. The loom, the forge, the sword, the grain in your name, I rise again. Got Jugaad, got Tolan, got trio. In you lies strength, in you lies skill. Each victory, each talent, each trial. No task too great, no skill too small. Your gifts, dear goddess, guide us all. Into force. Without your light, we have no guide, but with your hand, our place abides. Raise the hammer, string the bow. Her gift is all I need to know. Through toil and trial, through heart and hand, her grace builds up this mighty land. Is the grass the dead time it's sore? To find it until our greatest deed. By the grace of the goddess we are free. We'll build the land, our hearts within. I'm blessed to walk within your grace. Blessed by her grace, forever, forever.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Pax Dei. We're live again, which I surprised myself tonight. I listened to a couple of the other episodes and I was like, you know what, we're going to go live tonight because reasons, I suppose. Anyway, the thought is the live streams on a Saturday night might give us a little bit more audience interaction, especially with the chats, since, as everybody knows, or if you're new to this channel is about thought. It's about asking you the questions of ancient philosophies and ancient philosophers and ancient knowledge, ancient wisdom from all over the globe. Using that, getting modern philosophers and modern thinkers involved. Using that, looking at the research that is currently being done or even in the past has been done. But the scientific research that kind of aligns with or doesn't align with. We can have that discussion. The ancient wisdom's truths. So, that's the channel in a nutshell. Right now, and we play Pax Dei in the background. Pax Dei is an MMORPG. It's in early access. It's an amazing game. I love it. It has combat, it has PvP, it has PvE that aren't annoying, might I add. You actually have to accept to go to a PvP or a PvP area to actually get into the PvP. Thank you, developers. Let's keep that. The NPCs or the PvE is challenging. It's not incredibly difficult, but it is challenging. And it's challenging to the point where, using the term massive multiplayer, you need clans, you need party members, if you will. It's the closest thing to a D&D or a Pathfinder or something to that effect that you can come at this point in time without DMs. It's a free range, it's open world, right? So you can take your party, get quests, because other players will ask, hey, do you have this or this or this? And you can gather a party and say, hey, we can go get that for you. How much you willing to pay for it? Right? So you literally have adventuring. You can make an adventuring guild. You can make a tavern. You can make a market. The possibilities on the massive multiplayer angle are just immeasurable. It also has a mechanism, and I'm showing you one of the mechanisms right now. I'm an armorer right now. Well, in early access, I was able to get a decent amount of levels in many different professions. That's not going to be true when the game comes out later as a 1.0. If you do choose to do a multi-professional character, you can. The game is open to it. However, expect long periods of time where you're going to have to skill up, get the materials that you need, skill up other skills or professions in order to craft. For example, the linen cloth here, I had to go up in level on my tailoring. On the wrought iron wire on this recipe, I needed to go up in my blacksmithing. And then, of course, I had to get my mining and my weaponsmithing. See how all these are interconnected. But if we take Pax Dei and its launch, I can become an adventurer and just buy the equipment from somebody who is a blacksmith or a armor smith or a weaponsmith. I can buy those because I'm going to have gold. Now, could the blacksmith get gold? Yeah, they're a market, right? So if somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I need a butted chainmail pants set. Can you do it for me?" I can say, "Yeah." How much gold? Give me 50 per pants set, right? Or to repair them, right? Somebody can come back and say, "Hey, can you repair this suit of armor for me?" Absolutely, it'll cost you 5 gold, right? So it's limitless on the role-playing opportunities. You can be a tavern owner. You don't have to go out. You can wait for people to come to your tavern to buy the liquors and alcohols that actually provide status effects in your health, stamina areas, which is amazing if you think about it. So, great game. And tonight we're going into episode 135. Because I play the game, we go into how to make your life. I don't want to say it so harshly. Let me think of a different way of saying it. I love saying this, and I took it from a YouTuber. I haven't visited his channel. I don't know if it's if he's still producing, but he was a fitness instructor, and he was really good. But he kept a neutral tone for everybody because his philosophy was basically you're here on the channel no matter what your weight or no matter what your level of fitness. You're here to learn more, and through that learning, you're going to make a better version of yourself. So here, this channel kind of picking up the mantle, at least on the mind set, because he did a little bit of mind stuff, but we go a little bit more in depth. Like I said, it's been years since I've gone to his channel, so I should visit it again. But we're here to make a better version of yourself. And I thought about it today. I was thinking about this episode, and what do I need to do, and how can I convey the that portion of thought, a better version of yourself? And then I, of course, being me, I thought, you know what? Let's look at this better version of ourselves. Well, what does that mean? Well, firstly, it means we don't compare ourselves to anybody else but ourselves. And why would we do that? Because honestly, we don't have to. The better version of yourself is where we need to be. Because it's not a competition. None of us are in competitions with each other. A lot of people say, "Well, I want to be rich." Good. That's a goal. But you're not gonna compete against somebody else who's rich. Meaning in the fact that it's not a scorecard, right? I have 1 million. They have 5 million. I lost. No, you made 1 billion. Or if you're just looking at sheer philosophy, or any insert any measurement system against somebody else. And tonight we're going into the professional area of resourcefulness. And the reason I bring this up at the very beginning, I don't want everybody. This is not a competition. This is nowhere near a competition. We don't want to make it a competition, right? I need wrought iron wire, by the way. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, and I do take pauses, randomly because I need to. There's so much going on in this game. I can't think at the same time as I need to figure out what the hell am I doing. Let's see. I need wrought iron wire, and I need linen. So I'm going to keep that linen cloth there. And let me go get some more wrought iron wire, and I need leather bands is the other thing. So for wrought iron wire, I'll take an ingot, 10 of them, and I'll go over here, and I'll just I think I need to make bars first. So, no, I don't. I'll just craft all 10 of those. That gives me 50 of them. I should be all right with 50. We can make more as we go through this. So let's go into, yesterday we did resourcefulness in the personal life. This is all interconnected, but I like to break it up: personal, professional, and of course MMORPG. Well, why? Well, the reason is it's such a massive subject that I'm not going to be able to. Interesting. It didn't. Early access, guys. Sometimes it just doesn't take. There's so much to go over that I don't want to lose any detail, and I don't want to give you any missing information. So let's talk resourcefulness in professional lifetime. And hopefully something's going on with the servers. What's going on? Let's see if this will work. Sometimes it'll kick me out if I do this too many times, but I really need this wire. So let's hope that goes in. Okay. So in the workplace, resourcefulness can be a game changer. Businesses often face constraints like limited budgets, tight deadlines, or fierce competition. The ones that thrive are usually the ones that innovate under these pressures, right? So essentially doing more with less. Wow, that's not a lot, is it? Let me take another ingot. I just realized, because I think I need 9 wrought iron wires per vestige, if you will. So let's just craft a ton of wrought iron wire. So in fact, there's a term for business jargon for doing this. It's called frugal innovation. Or there's a Hindi word for it. Let me try to pronounce it. Jugaad. I think it's a Jugaad. So the basic notion. Oh, this does not want me to do crafting tonight. Not happy with that. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. Do that, and then we'll do one at a time so I can listen to it. So the basic notion is the same. Ingenious, improvised solutions born from necessity. So one of the most dramatic and life-saving examples of professional resourcefulness is from the annals of space exploration. We're talking about NASA. Apollo 13, 1970, they made a movie out of it. Often called a successful failure because we brought the astronauts back to Earth alive. You might know, so the movie's worth seeing, by the way. And it's also worth recounting because it epitomizes resourcefulness in high-pressure team scenarios. About 3/4 of the way to the moon, the Apollo 13 spacecraft suffered a major explosion in an oxygen tank. It crippled the service module. Interesting. Okay, so we have that. What else do we need? Oh, leather straps. Let me go get some leather straps real quick. I think my leather straps are over here. Or span. I just need leather straps. What are leather straps made out of? This is what I meant earlier by the amount of professions you need to learn to do one thing. Because if I didn't have leather bands, or I would need to go get the leather bands, I think you're starting to see the picture. What is leather? Let's see if this works out. Okay. So the 3 astronauts on board suddenly lost a big chunk of their power and supplies. And carbon dioxide actually began building up in the lunar module, which was their lifeboat in this scenario because the air scrubbers weren't designed for 3 people for any extended time. The CO2 filters in the lunar module were nearly used up, but there were plenty of spare filters in the damaged command module. One catch, the command module's filters were square cartridges, and the lunar module's systems used round cartridges. In other words, NASA literally had to figure out how to put a square peg in a round one. Or the crew would suffer. To save the astronauts, NASA engineers on the ground had to get wildly resourceful. They scrambled to design an improved adapter using only the items they knew the astronauts had on board. Because obviously, if it required anything else, it was useless. What did they come up with? Well, they came up with a contraption of plastic bags and a cardboard manual cover, suit hoses, and lots of duct tape. The photo, and if you see the photo, you'll see a lot of photos of the jury rig device. It's amazing. And the astronauts nicknamed the jury rig device the mailbox for its boxy shape. Believe it or not, this makeshift filter adapter worked. The crew followed the instructions radioed up by mission control and built an odd-looking apparatus, fitting the square CO2 scrubber into the round lithium LiOH canister slot. Man, I'm just losing my chemistry here. I want to say it's lithium oxide, but it's not. It might be lithium oxide. No. Yes? Anyway, it's a LiOH canister slide. The new system cleared the carbon dioxide, and the asteroids, and the astronauts started to breathe easily again. It was a triumph of human ingenuity, and a few humbled materials and a creative engineering saved 3 lives in space. Into the workplace. There we go. Let me see. Okay, let me check something out. So we're gonna do some investigation. So doing this gives me how much experience? 2,000. Doing one of these gives me what? 5,000. That's a tough choice. I'm gonna fail more times than not on the button chainmail stuff. Let me do... See, this costs too much all around, so I don't really want to do it. That's 522. That's 522. This is a math decision, really. How many times am I going to fail? How many things am I going to waste? Even if you fail in the game, it's a lot less. It's like 1/10 of the experience points. You know what? I think I'm going to fail more often with the moderate, so I'm going to go with the very easy. Okay. So this scenario has been held up as the greatest space hack ever. And it's a perfect example of professional resourcefulness under constraints. This is going to be one of those games, huh? Alright, so... I don't know if I want to throw all this away. Let's see if we have room here. I don't think so. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a big axis. Oh, there's some food I didn't know. Okay. I really gotta think about what I'm doing here. Alright. Let me see if I have a hammer. And I'll see if I have... Alright, I have that. Where's my hammer? Ah, cool. So what I'll do for now, I will create storage. This is going to be weird. I'll put it here for now, and I'll probably end up throwing it away. So I'm not going to keep it here, that's for sure. Then I'll put that in there and that in there. I'll put some of these in there, so I have actually room to do some. There we go. And then I do the... What did I do? Yeah. Alright, let's see if that works. Okay. So the engineers couldn't have gone out to buy a solution. They couldn't have 3D printed a new part. That tech didn't exist yet. They were limited to what was already 200,000 miles away in that capsule. Under those limits, they made magic. And you can bet duct tape earned even more of a legendary status that truly resourceful person's best friend. I'm going to drink some stevia, which is a non-sponsored spot. It's a drink, or it's Zevia. It's made with stevia, 0 calories and 0 sugar. Very good. I highly recommend it. Okay. So now most of us won't have jobs in the line of spacecraft, but principles still carry over to the more down to earth workplaces. Oh boy, this is not going well. I'm not happy with the game tonight. I wonder if there's just a lot of people on the servers. That's probably all right. Anyway, so think startups or small businesses. They often have to compete with far fewer resources than big incumbents. But I'm going to modify my notes here because I work for a big incumbent, and there's a lot of things that we need to do that require resourcefulness. We don't have an unlimited budget as much as we'd like to think so. So how do we manage, right? Often by being more resourceful and agile. They might use clever growth hacks in marketing instead of big ad budgets, or open source software instead of expensive proprietary systems, or creative barter deals instead of large purchases. There is a documented pattern in business, and constraints can fuel innovations. When a team knows they can't just throw money at the problem, we're forced to think differently. And sometimes that leads to a breakthrough. Other times it leads to a lot of frustration. So, for instance, consider the concept of the Hindu concept of Jugaad. That's how you pronounce it, but I totally. So, Jugaad is a colloquial. I'm gonna butcher that word. Anyway, Hindi term that roughly means innovative, fix, or improvised solution, born from ingenuity and making do with what you have. In India, many entrepreneurs and rural inventors have embraced Jugaad to solve problems in cost-effective ways. It's such a powerful approach that Western business gurus took notice. A book titled Jugaad Innovation describes how this frugal, flexible approach is spreading globally. Interestingly, similar concepts exist worldwide. Brazilians talk about gambiarra for quick DIY fixes. The French use système D from I'm gonna butcher that one. Sorry to my French listeners. Dibroiliardis, meaning resourcefulness. And the Chinese might say Zizu Changxin, or self-innovation. And I know I pronounced that wrong. So any of my Chinese friends listening, I am so sorry. All cultures recognize and celebrate the ability to solve problems with limited means. Let's illustrate Jugaad in action. Mansukh Prajapati's Mitaku. Earlier, we talked about making the most of limited ingredients in cooking. Now we consider limited, that was yesterday's episode. Now we consider limited technology, right? In a small village in India, a traditional potter named Mansukh Prajapati saw a need for refrigeration among people who had no electricity. Using his knowledge of clay, he invented the mitaku, a refrigerator made entirely of clay that keeps food cool through evaporative cooling. There's no power that's needed at all. Water seeps through the clay walls and evaporates, drawing the heat out of the interior. It's simple, eco-friendly, and cheap. Project Patty got the idea after a 2001 earthquake in his region. He read a newspaper article noting a poor man's fridge broken, referring to the common clay pots that used cold water, and sparked his imagination. He thought, why not make a real fridge out of clay? What are we doing? What did we run out of? Run out of beakers. You know what? I'm just gonna throw this out. Tour of my house here. It took me quite a while to build. I'm quite proud of it though. And I put these here so they don't get in my way, and they disappear after I log out. Not that I care that people pick it up, honestly. I'm not too worried about that kind of stuff. But, I'd rather get paid for it. But yeah, if somebody wanders by and they pick it up, I'm no. One of my, I wouldn't call him a friend, because a guy on the server, I should say, he just puts them out on the road. Anybody can pick them up. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Really, I'm just doing this for experience mining, so it's not really a thing, you know what I'm saying? We're not greedy here in Pax Dei. We really aren't. Alright, let's see if I can do this. No, so far. So after much tinkering, he succeeded in creating this fridge out of clay. The midi-cool looks like a clay cabinet with a faucet, and it can keep vegetables fresh for days in a hot climate. This Jugaad exemplified. Jugaad exemplified. Using local materials, which clay was very easily obtainable, and traditional skills, pottery, to meet the modern need. There was no fancy factory, no electrical parts, just a pile of junk. To recall Edison, right? That's the quote-unquote, I invented the pile of junk. Transformed by imagination. Now, Prajapati sells these clay fridges across India and internationally, helping communities that can't access conventional fridges. Amazing, right? Let me see what I'm going to need. I made a crap load of these linen. I just don't know where I put them. Let's see if I put them up here. Where did I put them? I can't remember where I put these things. Ah, here's some. Rather nice cloth. Crap. Where did I put these things? I hate when I do this to myself, because I made a lot of them yesterday. Did I put them in here? I usually don't put them in baskets, but I'll check them. Nothing here. Alright, so let me walk through where I would have put these things. I don't think I put them in these. Couldn't have been those. Definitely not those. Definitely not that. Nope. Nothing there. Right in the heck? Because I had a lot of linen cloth. Because this will be very upsetting if I can't find the amount of linen cloth I actually had. That would be forever in the doldrums. Let me see. Oh, maybe over here. I don't think it was here. Could have put there. I didn't. That's not them. Really, guys, I can't even think of where I put these. I am so sorry. I got plenty of wrought iron wire though. Let's get those. Where would I put them? And we'll just look through everything. And since I'm looking through everything, I can't look at my notes, so forgive me. We'll get to resourcefulness in a second. Usually, I am much more organized than this. Seriously, no, really. I know these aren't here. This is mostly alchemy stuff. I wouldn't have put it with the food. I was running out of room yesterday, to be quite honest. But I don't think I would have put it with the food. It would have been weird. I don't think I put it here. Let's go over here a little bit. Not there. And over here. Oh, I'm telling you. Yes, I consider this a fail. I was like, I have all the ingredients ready to go. I don't have to deal with it because I'm already there. I can just start leveling up and entice my audience with the level up. And of course, yeah. You're seeing all my stuff and how I organize it, and Pax Dei is you definitely need to do that. You have to be able to do that. Alright, let's see. Alright, so it wasn't any down here. What I'll do is I'll just drag them all down to the cabinet. That's cotton cloth. Okay. I'm looking for 2 hip things. Lots of potions. I haven't given up potions that much because potions are really cool. And I just don't see them. Anyway, resourcefulness, right? I gotta figure out how to do this resourcefully. Alright, now I'm kind of weirded out. Alright, if they're not down here, and they're not over here, they've gotta be up here, right? Because I think I took them off the rack. Maybe I didn't. Huh. No, I think I put more on the rack. And as a matter of fact, now that I know where one of them are, I'm looking for linen string, good. Linen string, good. And there should be more linen string somewhere on here. Here they are. What we can do is we can take all that upstairs. Like I said, could you imagine if you didn't have the professions? I mean, it's part of the game, don't get me wrong. But you would be hard pressed to do. I would have to go find somebody who's selling it, right? Which wouldn't be hard, honestly. A lot of people are in the game that are the tailors enough to have a lot of linen string. All right, let's go back down here. There we go. All right, let's see where we are as far as the. All right, so I have 500,000, so it's going to be a while. All right, so we're talking about this Jugaad and the clay refrigerators, right? So what was really remarkable is that he, much like William Mamba, had no formal R&D lab or big funding. If you didn't know William, if you didn't listen to yesterday's episode, William actually created a generator for his village to pump water from the well, from scraps, essentially, in Africa. It was amazing. Anyway, another quick example is hippo water rollers, which are durable rolling barrels to transport water in Africa or African villages. It came from reimagining a simple barrel and handle, allowing people to move water more water with less effort than carrying drums. Oh my god, jugs. It's gonna be one of those days, huh? And of course, there we go. All right. So, or in the medical field, there are instances of engineers creating inexpensive medical devices out of toy parts, like a centrifuge for blood tests made from a salad spinner. Time and time again, constraints, which are lack of money and infrastructure, lead to creative substitutions. If you don't have X, you find Y that can do the job. Even big companies sometimes deliberately embrace constraints to spur innovation. I can attest to that. That is a definite. So engineers at Google, for example, they talk about hackathons, where they would rapidly prototype solutions, often using whatever is available. The pressure cooker environment can yield new features or products in a short time. Some design firms practice design thinking exercises where they say, try to build a prototype in an hour with common materials, cardboard, tape, string. And this forces imaginative leaps. It's essentially structured resourcefulness practice, if you will. The logic is, if you get too comfortable with abundant resources, you might default to the same old solutions. But if you restrict your resources, you might discover a novel approach out of necessity. So we should also mention how resources or resourcefulness ties into leadership and career success. Employers value employees who don't just point out problems, but actively find solutions. That might mean learning a new skill on the fly. The team can't hire another specialist, because they can't hire another specialist, or automating a manual task using a simple script because buying an enterprise software would be too costly. What am I at? No, that wasn't even interesting. That was just hitting the individual. All right, where was I? So it could mean a manager who faced with budget cuts rethinks processes to maintain output with a smaller team. Maybe cross-training everyone so they can cover multiple roles, which makes the team more versatile, a kind of human resourcefulness. People who show this kind of innovation often rise faster in their careers because they're seen as problem solvers and innovators. There's a certain reputation that comes from being the colleague who when the chips are down, we'll say, okay, let's figure out how we can make this work somehow. And who often comes up with a workable plan. It's essentially the workplace equivalent of being that friend who can fix anything with some type of duct tape and creativity. On the flip side, lack of resourcefulness in a professional setting can lead to stagnation or failure. If a company responds to a new challenge with, we've never done it that way, and we don't have what we need, it just stops there, doesn't it? It's not likely to be overtaken by more adaptable. It's more likely, I should say, it's more likely to be overtaken by a more adaptable competitor. In fact, adaptability often listed as the top trait for success in the ever-changing 21st century job market. And what is adaptability if not a form of resourcefulness? Oops, no more room. So that's the question on the table. Put them in the chat or in the comments. What is adaptability if not a form for resourcefulness? That's a great question, right? I think so. Let me take care of this real quick. Looks like I'm going to be needing wrought iron. There we go. So wrought iron gets. Yeah, that guy hasn't been around a while. Neither is that guy. He started building this amazing complex, and he just went away. To be fair, any MMORPG that you want to grind with, you really have to have the wherewithal to do so, right? Or the time, right? It's not necessarily your fault, and I would never say that, because if you're working, you gotta prioritize. If you have a family, you gotta prioritize. But this game is not for the faint of heart as far as grinders are concerned. Okay, let's answer that. It's recognizing changes, right? New limits or new possibilities, and adjusting them to learn effectively, or adjusting them effectively, I should say. You don't have to learn. Before transitioning to the next section, let's highlight one more angle: social resourcefulness at work. Remember, we mentioned social help-seeking resourcefulness, right, in the first episode, or in episode 134. Remember, we mentioned in a team context, this could mean leveraging a person's strengths optimally. A resourceful project manager might say, we don't have an expert in X, but Jane has some experience in something similar. Maybe she can learn it quickly, and we can reach out to our partner company for guidance. Bringing in external help or pooling team knowledge is smart use of available resources, which include people, right? Not only materials, but people. No one person had the answer, but by connecting the dots, Jane's partial skill, plus a phone call to an expert, plus maybe a crash online course, the team finds the solution, right? It's almost it's not almost, it is the old adage of providing, knowing people, right? So there's a wisdom in saying, know what you know what you don't know, and know who knows what you don't. A leader exemplifying resourcefulness will tap into the collective intelligence around, period. Okay, so we've seen how personal grit and know-how, as well as team ingenuity, can turn crisis into innovations. From Apollo 13's duct tape miracle to clay refrigerators, to everyday office hacks, to Pax Dei not allowing me to do an auto build some way. Let's try it again. The pattern's clear. Limitations can drive creative breakthroughs. Period. Now, for a fun twist, let's venture into the domain where resourcefulness is often tested by design and in the world of games. So tomorrow, the episode 136, will wrap up the series and deep dive into resourcefulness in MMORPGs, where clever problem solving, teamwork, and adaptation aren't just useful; they're part of the gameplay. But until then, let's talk about a little bit more about this workplace resourcefulness. We have to understand the constraints. Constraints are big in the world of business. Meaning, if you use open source software, what are the legal implications for the company? And we need a legal department to understand if we use this software and we adapt it to our needs, is that open source now applicable? Or do we lose IP because we used open source? Or does it become ours and we have to copyright it? There's a lot of questions in resourcefulness as far as business, because business, one of your constraints is legality. The litigious nature of every country in the world, all 195 of them, shows that we as individuals with resourcefulness could be bound by a constraint, but we have to consider that constraint, right? So we are bound by constraints, period, for resourcefulness, right? My message here is be aware of the constraints you don't know about, because those can hurt you just as bad. Meaning, if, let's say, that open source code was open source and you couldn't leverage it for in the capacity you wanted to leverage it, and you got into a legal battle with somebody else because they used the same open source code. There's all kinds of, when you get into the legal realm, I'm not, but it's just today I say two things prevent us from doing business. One is the legal system or lawyers. The second is cybersecurity, especially in the software side. And the and any kind of technical hardware side as well. Yeah. I just can't. It's absolutely insane. The amount of constraints that could possibly rear their ugly heads when we're trying to be resourceful. One of the things that we were not allowed to do. Well, let's take a few industries where you can't. Like we talked about space travel, essentially, right? That's what we were talking about with the NASA thing. But if you were to jury rig something and provide it to a space agency, private or public, they would look at you and say, "Did you test it? I mean, what is this made out of? Are these materials made out of? Can we use these materials? Are these going to hold up where we need them to hold up?" You know, there's all these questions that have to be answered when you're talking about space agencies and space industry, right? Even the aerospace industry. Let's just put those in the same bucket, because I was in the aviation field, and you didn't jury rig things. You took your time and you read them properly because lives were on the line, right? And that's important. We got to remember that when there's lives on the line, the resourcefulness is essential. However, when you're considering the constraint of time, you might be able to get away with the shortcut, if you will, or the modification. But if you have the time, you might not be able to get away with that. What was I looking for? I have no idea what I was looking for. let's do this. That's 9 wires. God. I'd rather just do it. That's anyway. So there's a lot with resourcefulness, and I, as a leader in the in my area of expertise, I would say leaders need to look for resourcefulness within employees, adaptability, as we were saying. Pepper the interview with those questions if you are so inclined to seek resourceful and adaptable employees. I should say experts, right? I will be doing a podcast where we will go over interviews and resumes and such things like that, because it's so important for leaders to understand the difference between resourcefulness and, well, no, let me say it a different way. I made a joke video, and I thought it was really good, but it didn't get a lot of views. But I'll tell you about it. It was called what was that one? Let me it was in defense of lazy. It's a parody, right? It's a parody on the speech from I want to say Wall Street with who was it was in the 90s, I want to say. It was I can't even remember his name. If you know his name, comment. But he made a speech to the shareholders about greed. He basically said greed is good. So I'm like, I made the parody. Lazy is good. Well, one of the arguments is because I'm lazy, I find the most efficient path to get the job done. And that's resourcefulness. It should be celebrated. I make a joke about being quote unquote lazy, but it's not. Resourcefulness is that. You want resourceful people. You want people in your team that say, you know what, I'm working way too hard. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be able to do what you want quicker, faster, and correctly. That's the other thing about resourcefulness. We can't get it wrong. If you're gonna be resourceful, you want the outcome to be within the criteria, right? Because or the constraints, there has to be a criteria that you're going to have to manage, and that criteria, one of them is for correctness. Now, we on this channel we have gone over, failure is a good tool. It is okay to fail. It's absolutely okay to fail. There's nothing wrong with failing. Failing is actually a good thing. We should celebrate failures, even in business. As a matter of fact, businesses should want people to fail so that failure will resonate for the next 20 years through that person's employment. And that's really what we want to do. We want people to understand the resourcefulness they can bring to the team. We don't want to diminish their thoughts, right? We don't want to say, oh, you're thinking about this all wrong. No. Now, as mentors and leaders, we need to say, hey, you're thinking resourceful. I like it. How can we craft this to meet here's the constraints. Do you meet all the constraints? Right? Ask the questions of the person trying to help you, by the way. Usually it comes from a good place, right? I've been doing a lot of thinking over the last year since the podcast has been up and running, especially reading all of these different ancient philosophers like Socrates, Sun Tzu, Lao Tzu. There's a couple Indian philosophers I cannot pronounce. I've also gained knowledge of African philosophers, or philosophies, if you will. All good stuff, right? So all of this stuff is it has gained or changed my view on how to actually view not only life but work in general. Because what I don't think is that work is there to drive you into the grave. There's a great saying. I can't remember who said it. So in the comments or in the chat, please let me know. You work to live. You don't live to work. And there's another way of saying that, and it was you eat to live. You don't live to eat. Right. That's another aspect of the eating. Right. But that's really what you're looking at doing. Right. You really want to. You want to take resourcefulness to the level where not only you but your management chain, if you will, your leaders look at you and say, "Wow, that's a really good way of thinking about it," right? Or that's very resourceful. Let's continue on that path. And it's always a good thing. I don't believe that there should be any indication that resourcefulness is a bad thing, but you can practice resourcefulness. That's another thing I want you to get from these 134, 135, and 136 series of episodes for resourcefulness. If you do not have it today, you can practice it. Tomorrow, we'll go through some of the things that you can do to really reinforce and learn resourcefulness. If you don't think you're resourceful, this is the episode for you. So I highly, highly advise coming to that episode. And with that said, I'm going to close it out because I usually like to go about 2 hours, but I find that about an hour episode might be a little bit more manageable for people to listen to during the day. The 2 hours is a lot, and keeping you entertained in Pax Dei is very difficult. I am thinking about taking Emthir and moving him onto Arrakis when that game comes out, just to experience that level of gameplay as well. We might just do gameplay though. We won't be, because I have to learn that game. Right here, I'm not necessarily needing to learn any gameplay because I have plenty of opportunity for I've done this for so long, it's not really a big deal for me anymore. So with all that said, if you like the video, hit that like button, leave a comment. I want to hear what you think about resourcefulness and improving yourself in general, how to learn. I did a whole series of education and such things like on education. What could we do to make our education system, or actually make education, forget the system, make education better? Let's share it with someone who might need a little inspiration as well. These are inspiring topics. These are feel good, let me improve topics. So I would really appreciate it if you share it with someone you think might need a little inspiration. And most importantly, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss tomorrow's episode. And follow me on X because I'm there. And I usually announce it. Tonight, I was like, you know what? I'll live stream again. But it was like a last minute thing. So I didn't expect anybody to show up. Oh, by the way, the other things I want to announce real quick. I do the song on the intro and the song on the outro were done, written, directed, produced by me and Suno AI. So just to grab your attention, these are really good songs. And I do have a music channel on YouTube called Elysian Echo, and it is I have like 7 or 8 songs right on there right now with videos. And I tried to I'm kind of not editing the video. Or I'm using AI, so I'm not looking for the perfect video. I'm looking to see how much I improve over time and how much AI improves over time. So check them out. Feel free to check them out. Give me a like there, or leave me a comment, or leave me a comment in the comment section with this video or on X and say, hey, do you have a song like this? Or do you have a song on this genre? Let me go find out, because I usually hit inspiration with wisdom or games or real life circumstance. And then I start crafting a lyric and I have Suno try to put some music to it. Now, what do? Vocal direction, instrumental direction as well, to see if I can influence Suno to craft that music in a way that inspires people, right? I'm actually working on a video, and it's called Effortless Motion, Wu Wei, and it'll be coming out here soon. Give me about 2 weeks, because that's going to be a little bit, I want to get that a little bit more perfect, because as I said before, I want to start progressing through from novice to expert to professional and see what I can do. Any feedback is good feedback to me. So I appreciate your listening. Until next time, stay curious, stay resourceful, and I'll see you tomorrow night in the next episode. Have a good day, have a good night, depending on where you are in the world, and be safe.
With every step, a lesson learned. From fire's heat to the fields I've turned. The blade and bow, the forge and flame. I sharpen my skills, I play the game. Each day brings a challenge I must face. I train my hands with careful grace. From alchemy's art to the hunter's way, I'll find the strength to seize the day. I carve my path, I walk the line, in the shadow of the ancient sign. Through trial and toil I'll find my way, learning more with each passing day. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight. From the herbs I find to the iron I mold, each lesson learned is a story told. The stars above, they guide my hand as I hold my craft. I take my stand in the quiet woods, in the mountains chill. I push myself, I shape my will. With each new tool and every lore, I'm stronger now than I was before. I carve my path, I walk the line, in the shadow of the ancient sign. Through trial and toil I'll find my way, learning more with each passing day. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight. The road is long, but I won't turn back. The lessons I learned keep me on track. With each new skill, the stronger I grow. In the face of the storm, I let my courage show. I've tasted defeat, I felt the sting, but I rise again with each new spring. For knowledge is power, and wisdom the key. I'm forging my path, I'm breaking free. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike the heart of the wild and the calm of the night. I gather my skills, I'm ready